Team USA rebounding from back-to-back losses with a blowout of Argentina. Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal each scored 17, and the Americans took control from the outset, 108-80. Here's Bradley Beal on the pulse of the team.
Our biggest thing is we have to realize it's not the NBA, and Coach Pop keep re-emphasizing that every single day. It's way more physical. Guys are smarter. These guys have been playing together for 5, 10 plus years. So they have this experience and the chemistry, and we're trying to develop that in a short period of time. So, sense of urgency is kind of, what we're kind of preaching, but at the same time, every single day we have to get better. And that's how we're taking it. We're taking it a day at a time. Today we got better. Still a lot more we can improve on, but we're moving in the right direction.
Future Hall of Famer Vince Carter joining us now. Vince, what's going on? How we doing?
I'm doing well. All is good.
I just got to ask you one thing. Producers are going to kill me, but I've always wanted to ask you this. You played 22 years in the NBA. How do you have that longevity? Is it just amazing genes, or did you have this incredibly clean diet? Did you go to bed at 8 o'clock? Like, give me one tip, one thing.
And this is going to sound corny and just so underwhelming, but it's the willingness to do whatever it takes to stick around, honestly. For me, it was just I had a laundry list of things to do. And, you mentioned some of them, of working out, eating healthy, getting to the arena early to get that motor started. But if I wasn't willing to stick to my game plan and stick to that laundry list of things to do, I wouldn't be around. And, some people will see it and be like, oh, okay, well, I can do 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, and 8 and not do the other 5 or 6 that's left off the list. And that's when, if you continue to chop that list off, you're out of the league.
Can I say something about that real quick before we move on? What impressed me so much, Vince, is that, I know it's off topic, but you weren't just, you stuck around because you were willing to adapt your game and become a different kind of player in a different kind of role. But because you were willing to do that, not all superstars are, you not only hung around for those years, you were a valuable contributor on every team. Like you were a player that any team would want to have, even super late into your career. It's very few guys have ever done that.
Yeah, thanks for indulging me.
Thanks, first of all, Max. And let me say this. I felt it was humbling, obviously going to a reserve role. And as you get older, how can I stick around and what am I willing to accept? And I still had to make sure that jump shot was still working. And, as long as you're making shots, you'll stick around.
It was wet late in your career.
You know it.
All right. But a ton of respect, honestly, for that discipline and consistency and longevity. It's remarkable. All right. You also won a gold medal. So are we too concerned about Team USA, Vince? Talk to me.
Anytime the U.S. team lose, it's of concern, no doubt. But I think the conversation in the locker room, I hear people talking about the roster. Well, the roster is what it is. We can't do anything about that. So how do you fix it? Well, I think on the defensive side, first and foremost, on-ball defending and the three-point line, guarding the three-point line. Nigeria shot the lights out from the three-point line. And it made them vulnerable on the dribble drive, because now you're trying to close out late, pump fake, they're getting in the paint. Patty Mills right here, like shooting the fadeaway 3, but then he's able to get into the paint and getting layups. I mean, you don't see him doing that in the NBA game. So that is the thing. Look at that. Just on a Kevin Durant type guy, that's things you cannot allow in this game because you're going to see Jokic, you may see Gasol. And a few other bigs, Gobert, not really a offensive threat like that. When I'm talking about as far as having size, they have enough and they have enough scoring, but you still have to guard the ball to keep them out of the paint because and I think establishing roles when we need scoring, here's who we have: Kevin Durant, Damian Lillard, Bradley Beal, and of course Booker, and maybe you can put Middleton when they get there. Those are our guys, and everybody else kind of falls in line after that. I think that is the concern of understanding what's what. And in the last thing I'm going to add is the schedule. These guys are not trying to get their legs back. Maybe took it for granted. Oh, this is just an exhibition, kind of like preseason. You go through the motions, blah, 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 blah. Well, it's a little different when you're losing in the exhibition game, talking about the Olympics, because it's a lot on the line representing your country more so than playing a preseason game going into an 82-game season.
I think we are appropriately concerned about this team, Vince. Look, when we send, and Pop and Bradley Beal were talking about this at the press conference, when we send a team like this, first of all, this is not our very best team. our best roster would be Steph, Harden, Kawhi, if everyone was healthy. Steph, Harden, Kawhi, LeBron, KD. And our sixth man would probably be AD. And our seventh man would be Damian Lillard, right? So what we have on this roster is one starter and our seventh man as our two best players probably on this team. So it's not our very best team. When we send our very best, it's like the Brooklyn Nets. Well, they didn't play together long enough. The Brooklyn Nets, if they would have stayed healthy, were going to lay waste to everybody. They were destroying the Bucks, and they weren't even healthy. So that's what we do. We put together these guys who don't have multi-year commitments to the Olympics or to Team USA, but they're so good, they just can't lose. They can't lose. Okay, that's not this team. When we go down off our very best, the world is caught up. Most of these teams that we've lost to and, or they're competing with us have 3 or 4 NBA players, 3 or 4 EuroLeague players, right? A half dozen dudes at least who can play. They have played together for a long time. They know each other. So I liken it to like in the NCAA tournament. The one and dones don't usually win the whole thing. Teams with upperclassmen, they've been together for 2, 3, 4 years. Maybe they have 2 or 3 guys who might be in an NBA rotation. They don't have a whole bunch of top picks. Those teams win it. Sometimes if you have AD and you have the number 1 and 2 picks in the draft, right? Okay, fine. Michael Gilchrist, you're going to win the championship because you just got too much. But that's usually not the way it works, and that's not the team we sent. So they're going to have to play defense. They're going to have to get connected. They're going to have to hurry up and do that because these other teams want it more. Most of their players, this is the biggest stage they'll ever play on. It's the most important thing to them. Not the case with most of our guys. And they've played together longer. They have better chemistry. So, Vince, to me, it's like you can have an all-star roster, let's say 3 starters and a couple reserves. If they play and they just got together that week, if they play an NBA team that didn't make the playoffs, but they've been together for a year or 2, they might lose to that team, even if they're more talented. To me, that's where we are, and I'm nervous about it.
Well, I also, and you look at the Australian team, I mean, they had 5 guys at one point on the floor that all play in the NBA currently, like you said. And I think I'm looking back to 2000, my year. And, it was 92. You know what that is, 96. And then there was our team, and they were like, oh, can we win it? And, it was like, oh, it's more parity because there's more European players now entering in the NBA who know these players. And it's not the wow or awe factor anymore. Mm-hmm. And these guys are like, yeah, I mean, I play against these guys every day. They can actually give you a report on these guys. Not like, oh, we watched them on TV. It's like, I know what to expect. So I think the first 2 games, these guys kind of like, yeah, we're trying to get ourselves back into it. Some of them may be tired. I mean, just imagine what Booker, Holiday, and Middleton are going to feel like when they get back, just tired. So I think that they need to get their legs under them. That's something Pop talked about. And just understand, no, we need to go and dominate like we're supposed to. I think they're good enough. They have enough scoring. And the biggest adjustment I think Pop made was putting a scoring starting 5 in there instead of defensively. And because you can switch everything. They're going to switch regardless, but they needed scoring. They needed scoring, particularly if you don't have your legs.
Yeah. And Vince, it didn't hurt that they heard all the chirping from all of us here on television to get it going with that lopsided win. All right, so 2 more exhibition games, then they begin Olympic play against France. And I really wanted to show that ridiculous dunk you had against France. We can't.
Oh, yeah,
He's not even allowed in the country of France after that French device dunk.
Banned for life. Give me like your top 2 dunks ever. I just want an excuse to show the footage.
Well, it's unfortunate we can't show that because there's a wonderful story behind it because I didn't realize it. But most talked about to me is the Alonzo Mourning dunk for a lot of reasons. I mean, historic. I mean, top 5 all-time shot blocker or whatnot. And just having a conversation with RJ prior to that at halftime, and then it came to fruition. And then, then the dunk against the Pacers. And both of these dunks, honestly, were protecting myself. The first dunk on Zoe, I protected myself to take the hit, and that's what was the result. The dunk against the Pacers, they had the Bruise brothers. So I see Dale Davis coming down on the one side of the paint. So I said, let me go to the other side of the rim. And, fortunate for me that it was right there and I dunked the ball backwards. But I was protecting myself. That's why I turned my body against Zoe. And that's why I reverse dunk. You see here on the baseline drive, I see Dale Davis coming. So I'm like, no, I'm going to the other side.
The range of players he's played against, just looking at this footage, Max.
I know, right?
It's unbelievable. It's like all grainy and then last year. It's ridiculous. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean the Frederick Weiss dunk. Like, you need to apologize to Frederick Weiss, to his family, to his ancestors. I mean, you know, like what you must. Let me ask, you must feel some remorse somewhere. That was remorseless, Vince. Do you ever watch that and be like, damn, man, that wasn't even right what I did to that man?
I still am wowed by it because I didn't know that happened during the game. I found out after the game of actually what happened, and you know, I won't tell all the story, but you know, you can look it up. There were some stories that Frederick Weiss had a rough time dealing with this. You know, with his
Hard
health.
to watch.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, and like you said, not being allowed in his country, and he had to play in Spain. And all of these, he's now allowed back. He's now back in France, and I know he's a broadcaster at some level. So I'm glad he's doing well now. I'll say that.
No,
Sure.
really interesting story.
Imagine a dunk sending someone's life sideways. That's a dunk.
Unbelievable. So great having you on. A story time with Vince anytime. You just let us know when. We'll be here same time, same place. We'll talk to you soon. Stay
Always
safe.
a pleasure.
All right,
guys.
take care. When we come back, is today the day Kendrick Perkins finally admits Giannis is the Bucks'